Netflix is still the biggest streaming platform in the world. On paper, it's winning. But it doesn't feel the same anymore. Think back a few years. Opening the app felt easy. You'd sit down, find something, and actually watch it. There was this cultural gravity. If a show was on Netflix, everyone was talking about it. But lately, the ritual has changed. Now you scroll longer. You hesitate more. Sometimes, you just close the app entirely. Not because there's nothing to watch, there's too much to watch, but because something fundamental about the experience shifted. So, what exactly happened to Netflix? There was a period where Netflix didn't just have a head start, it had no competition. It was the first mover, the disruptor that turned the entire entertainment industry into a punchline. Think about the value proposition back then. For the price of a single movie ticket, you got an entire library. It was simple, it was affordable, and most importantly, it was high value. You didn't have to check 3 different apps to find your favorite sitcom, it was just there. But it wasn't just about the price. It was the cultural dominance. We reached a point where it became the default setting for our downtime. If you were talking about a new show at the office or in the group chat, it was almost guaranteed to be on that red and black interface. In those years, Netflix didn't compete for your attention, it replaced everything else. It was the gold standard. It felt like the party was never going to end. But looking back, that era of effortless dominance was exactly what set the stage for the discomfort we're starting to feel today. Because when you're the only game in town, you don't have to worry about the experience. You just have to be there. But eventually, just being there wasn't enough anymore. But then, the friction started to creep in. It was subtle at first, a slight hesitation before you clicked play. You probably remember that specific feeling. You sit down after a long day, remote in hand, and you start to scroll. You pass the top 10. You skip over the recommended for you. And you keep going. 5 minutes pass. Then 10. Suddenly, you realize you're spending more time managing the library than actually watching anything. This is where the discomfort began. Netflix went from being a curated destination to an endless digital warehouse. They started flooding the interface with new releases every single week, but instead of making the platform feel richer, it made it feel noisier. It's a psychological trap called the paradox of choice. When you have 3 great options, you're excited to pick one. When you have 3,000 average options, your brain shuts down. You start to ask yourself, why does it feel harder to find something now? The app stopped feeling like a friend recommending a movie and started feeling like an algorithm trying to keep you trapped on the home screen. The UI that used to feel sleek now feels cluttered with auto-playing trailers and rows of content that look identical. You weren't just looking for a show anymore, you were filtering through a mountain of data. And that's when the Netflix magic started to fade, replaced by a quiet, lingering sense of fatigue. This fatigue isn't just about how the app looks, it's about what's actually inside it. There was a time when a Netflix original meant something. It was an event. Shows like House of Cards or Stranger Things didn't just fill time, they defined the culture. They were high stakes, high budget, and they felt intentional. But as Netflix shifted its focus to sheer volume, the original label started to lose its weight. Now, for every masterpiece, there are 20 shows that feel like they were manufactured in a lab just to keep you from hitting the cancel subscription. We've moved into an era of disposable content. You see a show trend for a weekend, it vanishes from the conversation by Monday, and it's cancelled by Friday. And that's the core of the problem. There is more content than ever before, but there's significantly less reason to care. When everything is treated as a commodity to be consumed and discarded, nothing feels special. You start to realize that you aren't watching because you're excited, you're watching because it's there. It's the difference between a home-cooked meal and a fast food drive-thru. One stays with you. The other just fills a temporary void. Netflix stopped trying to make your favorite show and started trying to make every show. And in the process, they lost the one thing that made them unbeatable. The feeling that whatever they put in front of you was worth your time. To understand why the quality started to feel different, you have to look at the math behind the curtain. For years, Netflix operated on a single, obsessed mission: growth. They didn't care about profit. They cared about how many millions of people were signing up. They spent billions on content, basically subsidizing our entertainment to make the platform an addiction we couldn't live without. But eventually, the world ran out of new people to sign up. When growth hits a ceiling, the mission changes. Netflix had to stop being a disruptor and start being a business. They shifted from optimizing for your happiness to optimizing for their revenue. This is why you're seeing the changes that feel so corporate. The price increases that seem to happen every year. The introduction of ads, the very thing Netflix promised they would never do. They aren't trying to give you the best deal anymore. They're trying to see how much they can squeeze out of the users they already have. When a company is in growth mode, they prioritize the user. When they're in revenue mode, they prioritize the shareholder. And as a viewer, you can feel that shift in your soul. The platform stopped feeling like a service built for you, and started feeling like a machine built to extract $15.49 a month from you. They optimized the fun right out of the experience. While Netflix was busy trying to fix its internal math, the world outside caught up. For a long time, Netflix was the only place where you could find everything. But then, the companies that actually owned the shows, the giants like Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount, realized they didn't want to be Netflix's landlord anymore. They wanted to be the competition. One by one, the comfort shows that kept people anchored to Netflix started disappearing. The Office went to Peacock. Friends went to HBO Max. Marvel and Star Wars moved to Disney+. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't just fighting for your time. It was fighting for its life against companies with massive, century-old libraries of intellectual property. Disney Plus had the nostalgia. Amazon Prime had the convenience of free shipping bundled in. When you have to pay for 4 different services just to see what you used to see on one, the value of the app starts to crumble. You start comparing. You start noticing that the show you actually want to watch is usually somewhere else. The market got stronger, the options got sharper, and for the first time, the giant looked vulnerable. This led to a shift in how we actually relate to the app. It used to be that when you sat down on a Friday night, you didn't ask, "What am I going to do?" You asked, "What am I watching on Netflix?" It was the starting point. It was essential. But as the library thinned out and the originals started feeling more like fillers, that urgency began to evaporate. Netflix has moved into the background noise category. It's what you put on while you're folding laundry or scrolling on your phone. It's no longer the thing that demands your full attention. It's the thing that fills the silence. There's no longer that fear of missing out. If you don't watch the latest Netflix reality show the day it drops, it doesn't matter. The conversation has moved on, or more likely, there wasn't much of a conversation to begin with. We've gone from a committed relationship with the platform to a casual, "if I have nothing better to do," arrangement. It's a loss of status. Netflix didn't just lose subscribers. It lost its soul as the center of the cultural universe. It went from being the thing you couldn't live without, to just another icon on your smart TV that you occasionally click on by habit, before inevitably switching over to something else. Because it's no longer essential, the way we pay for it has changed too. In the early days, you kept your Netflix subscription because canceling it felt like cutting off your internet or your electricity. You just had it. But in this new landscape, loyalty is a luxury most people aren't willing to afford. We've entered the era of the subscription cycle. People are becoming tactical. They'll subscribe for a month to binge a specific season of a show, and then, without a second thought, they'll hit cancel. They move their money to wherever the current moment is happening. One month it's Disney Plus, the next it's HBO, then maybe back to Netflix for 2 weeks. The default status is dead. When you lose that default status, you lose your leverage. Netflix can no longer rely on the set it and forget it psychology of its users. They have to fight for every single sign-up, every single month. This is why they're getting more aggressive with the "Are you still watching?" prompts and the constant emails about shows you might like. It's a sign of desperation. They know that the moment you stop clicking, you start thinking about that $20 a month. They aren't just losing our time, they're losing our trust. We used to trust that Netflix was the best place to be. Now, we're always looking over our shoulder to see if there's something better on the other side of the fence. Netflix didn't disappear. It isn't dying in the way people usually think. It's still there, sitting on your home screen, spending billions of dollars and producing thousands of hours of video. It's still a giant. But the giant has changed. We've moved from an era of discovery to an era of management. We've traded the excitement of a new frontier for the exhaustion of a crowded marketplace. The reason it feels different isn't just because the price went up or because your favorite show got canceled. It's because the relationship is different. The magic of the early days was built on a promise that TV could be better, simpler, and more personal. But as the algorithm took over, and the competition closed in, Netflix stopped being a revolution. It just became television.